Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey, and as always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing today on this Friday evening? We have a pretty good episode today, a pretty big episode. We got a little bit of trivia coming up. We're going to test your Boston sports knowledge. You're a big fan of Boston.
Hat on.
You do have a New York Knicks shirt on, though. That
and
we
a
got
Boston hat.
we have a pretty big episode. We got a lot working for us. But let's get into what some may call controversial, some might call interesting, some might flat out call it stupid. But some of the top running backs in the NFL, like Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, Saquon, running backs like that, have spoken out about how sort of obsolete the running back position is really becoming, and especially with the low value that teams are now giving the running back position. For instance, this was Saquon Barkley on the Money Matters podcast, talking about his situation and why, what he could do moving forward and potentially sit out of next season.
I could say you to the Giants. I could say to my teammates and be like, you want me to show you my worth? You want to show you how valuable I am to the team? I won't show up. That's a play I can use. Anybody knows knows that's not something I want to do. But it's something that crossed my mind. It's like I never thought I would ever do that. But now I'm at a point where it's like I might have to take it to this level.
So, Saquon's potentially sitting out, and we also have, I'll bring this up. Some running backs have went on Twitter. The first two, Saquon Barkley and Jonathan Taylor, for those watching on YouTube, they immediately reacted. As soon as Saquon didn't get that extension, didn't get that long-term deal, he goes, it is what it is. Jonathan Taylor responded to that by saying, wow, we have Derrick Henry saying at this point, just take the running back position out of the game then. Austin Eckler, he's been complaining recently because he feels like he's underpaid, and he sees some wide receivers or some wide receiver 2s and 3s getting paid more than he is. He's making about $6.2 million a year. Christian McCaffrey, highest paid running back in the league, about $60 million a year. He's speaking out about the running back position. Even Najee Harris is giving his comments on this entire situation. So I want to ask you, do you really think the running back position is sort of getting suppressed? The running back market is suppressed? Or do you think these guys they have a certain amount in their head and that's what they're going for?
I think the running back position is being suppressed. I don't know if it's collusion in the NFL. I can't do that. They would be breaking the law if they did that, and they could be subject to some serious legal suits and penalties. But I do think that the way the league has evolved and the players keep getting bigger and faster, the running backs take a lot of hits. They take bigger hits than they've ever taken. Their longevity is a question mark. So when they go after a long-term deal, teams look at it and say, wow, that guy, he's going to be taking a lot of hits, and he's susceptible to injury. Chances are he's not going to last that long. And even if he does last that long, he gets worn down because he's carrying the ball a lot, and his durability is probably going to be affected over several years. So, put a fresh body in there. And I think that's kind of how some of the teams are feeling. I think it's a double-edged sword because the running back is a skill position, someone who handles the ball. They not only run the ball, they catch the ball, they block. Right? There are three skills that they need to have out there: running and catching and blocking. And they generally, if they're really good, they can make a good offense better, and if a great offense, they can make an average offense good, and they can make a good offense great. Yeah. So I think that they have a lot of value. They have a leadership role generally because they do carry the ball. They can change the game with a single play. They break tackles, and run for a touchdown, a long touchdown. So I think that they have been devalued, and it's showing in the salaries that are offered. They're not getting the longer-term deals because of the worry about their durability, not because they aren't strong, and they're probably stronger than they've ever been, but just because the other players are also as strong and much faster and hit them a lot harder. So that's kind of how I think about it. Yeah.
I don't know if suppressed is necessarily the right word. I do feel like the running back position actually is sort of like a revolving door. Because the way the running back system works now is you draft them. You don't even draft them really high anymore. You draft them, you play them for 3-4 years, and then you either franchise tag them or get rid of them. The only top 1, 2, 3 running backs, like Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry, they made their money. But we're talking about Josh Jacobs, who just led the league in rushing. He may be sitting out. Saquon Barkley had a career year. He might be sitting out. We have all these great running backs who are at the top of their game and are sitting out because teams won't pay them. So maybe it's just the running back position. Teams do not feel like they're, that valuable. But with Saquon, I want to focus on Saquon. I talked about this on Monday, and I want to get your reaction to this. This is Saquon and the running backs' impact for the New York Giants specifically. So when the New York Giants running backs have under 100 yards, the Giants are a pretty bad team. They're below average. And Daniel Jones looks not even that great. The completion percentage is perfectly fine. 65% is more than adequate. The yards per game are terrible. The passer rating is terrible. And then we go into when his running backs have over 100 yards. They're undefeated. Completion percentage over 72%. Passing yards is almost 100 yards per game more. Passer ratings up nearly 30 points. Daniel Jones, this is top 10, nearing top 5 material for Daniel Jones when he has running backs that run for over 100 or more yards. Without it, he's a below 10 quarterback, below 5 quarterback maybe. So Daniel Jones, we've seen this impact, and that's why I feel like maybe Saquon Barkley, he could feel sort of, he could be rubbed the wrong way because we saw Daniel Jones for 3-4 years look terrible. And yes, circumstances, he had no one to throw it to. He had a revolving door of coaches and coordinators or whatever the case may be. But he himself did not play that great. And then he goes out, plays pretty well. He plays very well compared to his previous 4 years. But on the grand scheme of things, he played pretty good. He didn't play phenomenally. And he gets $160 million, $82 million fully guaranteed, $40 million a year. And they franchise tag the guy who is probably 55 to 60% of your offense. So I can understand where Saquon's coming from. I appreciate what Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey are doing, but should they really have a massive say in this? Because they got paid. They got their money. Christian McCaffrey broke through the running back market. He's making $16 million a year when the franchise tag's $10.1 million. So while I think it's, I could understand why Christian McCaffrey may have, a word in this or two, the impact of what he's saying shouldn't really mean much because he made his money. He's talking from a position of power.
How long is his contract for?
I'll look it up quickly. Austin Eckler, too. I find it very funny what Austin Eckler is saying. Again, I agree with him somewhat. However, he's making $6.125 million a year. And he talked about how wide receiver 2s and 3s make more money than him. Well, on some teams like the Bucs, where you have Chris Godwin as a wide receiver too, and he's making a lot more money. Or I looked this up here. Jalen Waddle is making about $1 million more. He's a wide receiver too on the Dolphins. I would say, I don't know if you'll agree with this, on most other teams, he could be a wide receiver 1. And before Tyreek Hill got there, he was the wide receiver 1.
How much does he make a year?
I just had it here. Give me a second. So Jalen Waddle's making about, not even $1 million more, $6.71 million AAV.
Yeah.
So, and Austin Eckler's getting 6.125.
Yeah.
So Christian.
Well, I would say that Waddle's longevity is probably better than Eckler, right? Because he's not going to take the kind of hits. He's not going to have to do the kind of blocking. The linebackers coming in there to blitz the quarterback. Eckler's the guy who's got to pick him up.
Right.
So the kinds of hits he's going to take are much more than Jalen Waddle. His longevity is probably shorter than Waddle. So for Eckler trying 1,000%. To get a long-term contract, that's probably not going to happen. I think what these running backs ought to do is go for the big 1 or 2 year deals. Go try to get a big salary for 1 or 2 years. They're just not going to hand out the long-term contract with big money. Right. They could say, you know what? Over 5 years, if I make $7 million a year, it's $35 million. If I ask for $15 million for 2 years, that's 30. So I'm probably better with the lower salary and the longer deal. I may not make it all the way, but I'll get paid.
Right.
But nobody's going to give them. They might give them that with a lower salary, but they're not going to give them the big money for the long term because they're exposed. These guys take a lot of hits.
No, I agree. And also, we're talking about a position where when you come into the league, that's your prime. You don't have this prime where maybe for a quarterback, it takes you 3-4 years to develop under an NFL system. You come in and all of a sudden, like, you have to wait. There's a trial period between when you're really raw to when you're at your peak. There's no grace period because you're right. The running back position, you don't necessarily you don't. It's not a situational contact. You create the contact. You're going through 6 guys in the offensive line to try to break
blocking
free.
A huge linebacker coming down on the quarterback full speed.
To block. I completely understand. And so your prime is immediately when you're in the league. The perfect example of this is Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
He dominated in college, came into the NFL, took over. That could have been the Cowboys' best season in probably 10 years. Was Zeke's first year when they made the playoffs. And since then, the yards per game and yards per attempt has decreased and decreased and decreased, so much so that A, he's not signed yet, and B, he's really a short yardage back where you put him on the goal line, within 5 yards, and that's basically what he can get you. Maybe on 2 attempts, but that's basically all Zeke's quality is now. That's all Zeke's value. So talk about Christian McCaffrey, his contract. He's got 3 years left, but there's an out after this season. So I don't think the 49ers will, but the 49ers could get off him after this year for not a major penalty. But he does have 3 years left. 2026 is when he's an unrestricted free agent. He signed a 4-year, $64 million contract a couple years back. So
that's never going to happen again, those kinds of contracts.
What do you mean? They're all going to go up? Or
no, they're not going to give out that kind of contract anymore.
Here's the thing.
I don't think so because Ezekiel Elliott got that contract. How did he perform through the year? He got released.
Yeah, he got released.
He was a shell of himself in the last couple of years. He has not played that well because he's taken a ton of hits.
Right. No, I agree.
Yeah.
But here's something else I find pretty interesting. Le'Veon Bell had a gigantic peak with the Steelers, went to the Jets. His career just fell off after he was gone with the Steelers.
Should have stayed with the Steelers.
He went on Twitter, 3 days ago, and he said, it's to the point now where I got to tell him, I think he coaches, little kid football. He's telling kids to not play running back, play quarterback, wideout, or even kicker, he says.
Kicker.
Because that's more value, apparently, according to Le'Veon Bell. So what I think, really, it depends on the team. I do not think, like, for instance, the Ravens just signed Melvin Gordon today on a 1-year deal. Melvin Gordon has had fumble issues for the past 3 years, but we don't hear him go out and complain all the time. He got signed still. But we're talking about some top running backs.
He didn't make that much money, though.
It's a 1-year deal. It is what it is. But that's the thing. A team that has success running the ball with whoever. The Ravens. J.K. Dobbins is not a top premier running back. Gus Edwards is not a top premier running back. They made it work. They were the highest rushing team for several years. That also includes Lamar Jackson. But we're talking about Sanders from the Eagles. He's not a top tier running back. Did he have a phenomenal year last year? Yeah, he had a pretty great year last year. But we're not talking about a Josh Jacobs or a Derrick Henry or a Jonathan Taylor or a C-Mac. None of those guys. We're talking about just an efficient running back. He's making money. If a team can find success with a middle-of-the-pack to good running back, they're not going to spend, $12, $13, $14 million on a top-tier running back just for the name.
Yeah, well, the other thing, is experience.
That's what the Patriots are doing.
Experience, bringing in the fresh body, the rookie. Generally, those guys make mistakes, whereas a running back who has 4 or 5 years of experience, they generally don't make those kinds of mistakes, and they see things on the field, and they react, and their knowledge of the game is a benefit, and is a valuable tool for the team that has them. So it's kind of a trade-off, You might lose a little bit in your speed and your durability, but you're smarter out there. Right. And you can make a play that maybe the younger guy wouldn't make.
So what I would do is, it really depends on the team. Do I think if Saquon Barkley, if the Giants either trade or just let Saquon walk after this year, do I think a team will pay him $14, $15 million if they're desperate? Yeah, I do. I really do.
But not for 4 years.
I don't know if it's for 4 years, but I do think that at some point a team desperate enough will pay for Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. Well, I think the Giants would be smart to find a way to make a deal with him because he did contribute a ton last year, and you showed the stats of how the quarterback play was when he was out there really generating a lot of yards.
He was a completely different quarterback.
Yeah.
An entirely different quarterback. And so what I think will happen is some of these top running backs that may sit out.
Who else do the Giants have?
Matt Breida, and they just signed James Robinson, Patriot legend. He was
James
there for
Robinson.
a couple months. Yeah, no, that's who they got today. They just signed him. So we'll have to wait and see. Suppressed, maybe, probably.
They could go after Dalvin Cook.
They could. They also could go after Zeke if they want.
Yeah.
But,
they could go after...
they sort of went down that rabbit hole, though, with Le'Veon Bell and Frank Gore.
Yeah.
That didn't turn out, amazing, but,
No, we're talking the Giants.
Right. I was thinking Jets.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking James Robinson. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but I do think the running back position is,
Leonard Fournette is still out there. The Patriots may
Patriots are going for him. So we'll have to wait and see. Speaking of the Patriots, let's jump into that topic because recently the Patriots decided to work out running backs Leonard Fournette and Darrell Henderson Jr. as potential backups to Ramondre Stevenson. It's pretty interesting because Dalvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott are both still out there, but in particular Dalvin Cook. And what's also interesting is that a couple sports books have the Patriots as the number 1 overall favorite to go out and get Dalvin Cook. The lone favorite. They're no longer tied with Miami. So I want to know, what is your reaction to the Patriots focusing more on Leonard Fournette and Darrell Henderson than better backs like Dalvin Cook?
I don't think they'll get Dalvin Cook, actually. I understand that Dalvin Cook's got an issue with his girlfriend who filed a suit against him for being abusive to her, and he's now rumored to have offered her $1 million to sign an affidavit that he didn't do anything to her. So he's got problems there. And the Patriots don't like that kind of situation. You remember what happened with Antonio Brown, right? They dropped him like a hot potato. So I don't think they're going. That's why I think they're looking at Fournette. And as I looked at Fournette, initially I thought, you know what? He's not that good a pickup for the Patriots. He's got a lot of mileage on him, and he didn't have such a great season last year. But when you look at his overall stats, he actually had a great season last year, right? He caught 73 passes. 73 passes, so the guy can catch, right? So in his running, he had 189 carries, and he got quite a few yards out of that too. And the Tampa Bay had a lousy offensive line, so I think maybe Fournette isn't such a bad pickup if they can get him for a decent price. Patriots like to throw the ball to the running backs. Ramondre Stevenson caught quite a few balls last year, so I think he might be a decent pickup. I don't know about Henderson. He didn't really play much last year.
He got hurt, yeah. He played 7 games.
70. The year before, he did quite well. He had almost 1,000 yards, almost 900 yards. So maybe he's somebody that can come back and have a really good year this year. I don't know. But I think Fournette might not be such a bad pickup. The one thing I will say, not re-signing Damian Harris, right? Look where he wound up. He's with the Buffalo Bills. Do you think he's going to play his heart out when he plays against the Patriots?
I don't think it's going to matter.
I think, I think that's just one.
The Bills can't get the run game right.
Yeah,
they're dealing with they don't have a great offensive line. They've never been able to get the run game right.
Maybe they've found a way to improve it some by picking him up, and particularly when they play against the Patriots. That guy's going to be pumped up like he never was before to play against them. So
maybe
I'm not too happy about that.
Well, I'll say this. Damian Harris did not have a great year last year. He played...
Well, he got hurt.
Right, but he played more games than Darrell Henderson, and you know what? He didn't look great doing it. He really did not look great doing it. Coming out of he caught how many catches? He had 17 catches for 97 yards, no touchdowns. Leonard Fournette, he just came off one of the worst years he's had ever in his career. And also, he was a part of the 32nd ranked run team last season. Not great for Leonard Fournette. Darrell Henderson, he was okay with the Rams, but the Rams never had a really good run game. Even with Sony Michel, even with Cam Akers, even with Darrell Henderson, he never was a great back. He actually is more comparable to, I think, James Robinson, who was there for all about 5 minutes. So Dalvin Cook, right? You bring up Dalvin Cook and his situation maybe. The Patriots, while maybe they haven't, spent a lot of time with these troubled players, they've still actually signed them. Randy Moss had trouble. Antonio Brown had trouble. Aaron
Antonio
Hernandez,
Brown was there for one game.
I understand, but that's,
There are some others, though. I agree with you. Aqib Talib. Yeah, he had trouble, and they signed him, and he's played with them for quite a while.
Yeah, so it really depends on who's the leader there. With Tom Brady was the leader there. For the Bucs, he brought AB. AB lived with him for a year. As soon as AB was on his own, we saw what happened. He walked out of the Jets game, and that was the end of his NFL career. Randy Moss, he slowly fade out. Patriots got rid of him. His career fell off a cliff, and he actually almost did win a Super Bowl with the 49ers.
Yeah, he was like an afterthought.
He wasn't a huge part of that team. So if you're telling me a consistent 1,000-yard running back like Dalvin Cook is out there, and even Ezekiel Elliott, I believe he had 10 touchdowns last year, he's out there. Or instead, you're choosing from one of the guys who's never had 700 yards rushing in his entire career, or another guy who is on a steep decline we saw last season with a poor offensive line, although it had a couple Pro Bowlers and an All-Pro, compared to the Patriots offensive line, who has a tackle who drop blocks and misses every time, and an aging offensive line who right now is swapping tackles, figuring out how it works, bringing people up from the depth chart, bringing in new people, sorting them out in a complete mess. Is it really that much better? Dalvin Cook is a consistent 1,000-yard back. And if you're telling me he's the backup to Ramondre Stevenson, and you have that 1-2 punch, and it looks like Belichick is going to his old style of NFL, the 80s and 90s version of Belichick, where it's a lot of run game, a lot of defense, not much passing, because he doesn't love Mac Jones. He doesn't like Mac Jones. He doesn't go out and get top receivers for one Mac Jones. If you're telling me that Leonard Fournette is going to be the backup or Darrell Henderson is going to be the backup when you have Dalvin Cook and Zeke out there, yeah, I got a problem with that, because there's better than what you're getting. And hell, no one's signing these players, so it doesn't,
You think Zeke is better than Fournette?
I think Zeke can get you more production than Leonard Fournette can. Leonard Fournette could not separate beyond the line. He would get stuffed behind the line, couldn't bounce to the outside and get
How about his
passing?
Yardage. The passing game, though, 73 catches.
Ramondre Stevenson had a bunch of catches last year.
Okay, so Ramondre Stevenson on plays 1 and 2, and then Fournette in there on the third down.
But here's the thing, though. Fournette's not this big back. He's not a beefy back. Zeke could be put in that big bull back spot. Okay, here's one thing. So receiving. So Dalvin Cook last year had 39
catches.
He did have 2 touchdowns, though, which was more than Fournette. One less than Fournette and more than Darrell Henderson.
Well, Darrell Henderson only had 70 carries last year.
And Dalvin Cook gets you consistent 1,000 yards with several rushing touchdowns per season. So he's a 1,000-yard rusher, just like Ramondre Stevenson is now, and he can catch decently, score some touchdowns. So he gives you that multifaceted back. The one that makes the most sense, right, is to have 2 different backs, one for first and second, one for third and short. To have that elusive receiving back and that bull back. The best fit would be Zeke, because Zeke is no longer that speed back he was early in his career. He's now a short yardage back. Signing him, no one's going to sign him. The Cowboys aren't interested. It looks like no team is really interested in signing him to a big long-term deal. He already got his money. So will he settle for a 1-2-year deal worth, $8 million, $10 million? I think he should, because guess what? I don't know who's going to sign him.
I'd be surprised if he even gets that much.
We'll have to wait and see. But, his yards per game over the course of the past 3-4 seasons has plummeted drastically. So I'm going to bring it up right now.
And why do you think he's better than Fournette?
His yards per attempt went from 5.1 his rookie year to 4.1 to a lift in 4.7, and last year it was 3.8. It stayed low 4s, and then it went 3.8 last season in 14 games. Didn't have 1,000 yards. He had 12 rushing touchdowns last season. He doesn't catch really, but early in his career, the middle of his career so far, he caught a decent amount. About Ramondre, a little bit less than what Ramondre caught.
Ramondre caught a lot of passes last year.
Then he caught 70 something.
Did he catch that many? I thought it was something like 50 something.
I'll look it up. Ramondre Stevenson last season, he caught 69 balls. Yeah. He only had 1 touchdown though. He had 421 yards receiving. but he was 1,000-yard back and had 5 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
So there's better out there. The question is, though, are you going to pay the same for a worse back? If Zeke's is the thing, if you could sign Leonard Fournette to a 1 or 2 year deal, $5 million a year, or if you could sign Ezekiel Elliott to a 1 or 2 year deal, $5 million per year, which one would you rather go for?
I'd go for Fournette.
12 rushing touchdowns last season. Short yardage back. Differentiate a little bit. You would really go Leonard Fournette. What about Darrell Henderson? Would you sign him over?
I don't know much
Ezekiel
about
Elliott?
him. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe because he's younger and he has less mileage on him.
That could be a case. That's the thing with the Patriots. The Patriots don't go out and get the best of the best generally. They go out and get, okay, and hopefully it becomes great. That's sort of what happens. So it's unfortunate because you do have 2 better backs out there, and the Patriots are probably going to go with the worst option of Leonard Fournette and or Darrell Henderson. So I don't know. I don't love it. I do not love what the Patriots are doing. To be honest, they could be going in the opposite direction. There were wide receivers out there that were better than what they got, than what they retained. There's better running backs out there, then they probably will go out and get worse. Mm-hmm. So we'll have.
I think their thinking is they may not have the very best players, but they have the very best coaching. So they feel like they can take.
Know much about offense. Though.
They think they can. Well, they have a great offensive coordinator now in Bill O'Brien.
That's what we're hoping.
Right?
Bill O'Brien.
So they're thinking the coaching,
the
coaching can outsmart the competition, and even though the players are not the very elite group, the coaching will make up the difference, and they'll still win.
Well, that's
what they're.
I guarantee you that's what Patriots fans are hoping. That Bill Belichick and Bill O'Brien could pull one out of the the deep depths of the abyss of losing. And figure out a way to make the playoffs again, or we could be hearing some things about Belichick next season that I guarantee you some Patriots fans do not want to hear. All right, so I'm going to talk about this. This episode of the Harvey Hour is brought to you by our YouTube membership community. If you ever wanted to be a regular guest on the show or wanted special shout-outs at the beginning of each show, you can click that blue join button below and become a member of the Harvey Hour. We thank you to everyone who has signed up, and thank you for supporting the show. All right, coming up, Jets head coach Robert Saleh says he feels absolutely no pressure heading into this season with the brand new quarterback and more weapons. But really, should he feel the pressure? And I test my dad's knowledge of Boston sports history right after this.
You have a lot to say. Maybe you've thought, I should start a podcast. Meet Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast ever. It's a powerful mobile app and web tool that lets you record a podcast anywhere and distribute it everywhere. It's great whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out. And it's 100% free. You can record your show straight into Anchor on your phone, iPad, or the web, using any mic you want. Record alone or with friends or co-hosts anywhere in the world. You can add background music and transitions, and your listeners can send you voice messages that you can incorporate right into your next episode. If you want to produce your show using another app, you can upload your own audio directly from web or mobile and still take advantage of Anchor's totally free podcast hosting. Once your podcast is ready to publish, Anchor can automatically distribute it to every major podcast platform. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, so your listeners can hear your show wherever they want. And on the web, you can see detailed analytics about how people are listening. Plus, you'll get a great-looking profile page where anyone can listen to your podcast or subscribe to it. And if you want to ask your audience to support your work, Anchor makes it easy to collect monthly payments from the people who love your podcast and want to see it grow. You really don't need a recording studio, expensive equipment, or a bunch of technical knowledge to deal with a podcast feed. Just get started and join the diverse community of podcasters already on Anchor. We can't wait to hear your podcast.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify.
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe,
interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
Podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey, and as always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic. So Robert Saleh said recently that he feels absolutely no pressure heading into the 2023 NFL season with a brand new quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, a okay offensive line that has issues, but we have a healthy Mekhi Becton coming back. Will he stay healthy? That is the major question here. You just had the offensive rookie of the year in Garrett Wilson. You picked up Allen Lazard. You got the mummified Randall Cobb. You have some pieces here. You have Breece Hall coming back. And not only that, you're now the star of Hard Knocks. So you have a lot going for you this season. Aaron Rodgers in the past has seeming like he just wants to leave football, darkness retreats, ayahuasca, all this other random stuff that he does. Now he's at the forefront, but there's some positives. He started working in the offseason. He's seemingly going to get healthier. He was playing with an injury last season. So I'm going to ask you this. Should the Jets feel the pressure to succeed this season?
Absolutely. And the fact that he's saying he's not feeling pressure, that I don't believe that's true. The guy has got to be feeling pressure. It's in the biggest market, the most focus, the toughest media, right? He's got a great, they've put the quarterback in place that should make the difference. If he makes mistakes on the sidelines there, either mismanaging the clock or calling some really bad plays, then he's going to be hammered. And he won't be around at the end of the year. I think Aaron Rodgers is committed to 3. I heard he committed to 3 years with the Jets. So they could fire him at the end of the year and get a new coach and still have 2 years with Aaron Rodgers to try to make it to the Super Bowl. So I'd say he better step it up, and I guarantee he's feeling the pressure.
I will say this about Robert Saleh. I think one of his downfalls of head coaching will be he's too nice. I think any head coach who saw Zach Wilson go from where he was to depletion his rookie year, then go into next season with a whole year under the system and fall apart even more, not take accountability for his poor play, and just throw games away, literally throw games away, getting benched for players like Chris Streveler and Mike White, it does not look good. And now he's saying that they want to keep him so he can hopefully grow under Aaron Rodgers. I'm thinking about it. Sam Darnold got picked in the top 3. He was gone within 3 years. Zach Wilson was the number 2 pick, and he looked even worse than Sam Darnold did, and yet they're holding on to him for more years to come. Hopefully he'll be the next, diamond in the rough, and he'll learn something from Aaron Rodgers over the next, season to 3 seasons, depending on whether or not Aaron Rodgers stays, and he'll become the next great quarterback for the New York Jets. You got to get rid of Zach Wilson. That's the first thing. He ain't going to learn much. He's a bad quarterback. So the fact that he stays, he's trying to push confidence into Zach Wilson. I understand he's the head coach. I understand that's his job. But to retain him and say he still has a lot of hope and then to back that up by keeping him on the roster, I think that's going to be a very, very poor move. And I guarantee you, if the Jets do not make the playoffs this season, Robert Saleh is 11-23 in his coaching career with the Jets. If he doesn't make the playoffs this season, or Aaron Rodgers and the Jets just look slow on offense, let's say they go 8-9, 7-10. I'm just hypothetical here. I don't think they will, but let's just say they do, and he gets fired. One of the first moves the next head coach will make is Zach Wilson will be gone. I guarantee you that will be one of the first moves the new head coach makes. Zach Wilson will not be the next great quarterback for the New York Jets. They'll either draft another one or they'll sign another one if Kirk Cousins maybe is available next year.
Yeah, I think, if they think that Aaron Rodgers is going to stay healthy, I think that Zach Wilson has a chance to stick around because he's not making much money.
Right.
You don't have to pay him much. You don't have to pay him very much, and he can be the backup for 3 years, and he's cheap.
Right.
And he can come in there and hand the ball off. It's not like he's totally inept. He does know that, and he knows the offense. He has had some games where he looked okay, and he does make bad mistakes, though. I mean, he throws interceptions, kills drives, he ruins the momentum. He really did play poorly last year, and he got what he deserved, benched. And then
Several times.
And then they asked him, "Do you think it was your fault?" And he said, "No."
Yeah, I mean, he got ripped by New York.
He got ripped by New York after that. So.
But then WFAN was talking about he's the next Steve Young.
He's damaged. I know, right? They said he was going to be. He had the potential to be fantastic. Maybe he does. I don't know.
I can't.
Maybe his body has that potential. His head doesn't seem to.
That could be the case.
Yeah.
Robert Saleh, though, I will give him this credit. He did just coach up the fourth best defense in the league. He did have the number 4 defense. That is something that's on his resume, is the 4th best defense last year. But the first year, with, they obviously didn't have Sauce Gardner. They had the last ranked defense in the league. That was Robert Sala's first year. So the Jets are going to this season with the 4th ranked defense. They just signed Williams to a massive deal. Now they have Sauce Gardner for another year. They have basically the same defense, and it was number 4 last season. So now you're going in with Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson coming off his offensive rookie of the year. Your expected Breece Hall is coming back healthy. Mekhi Becton is coming back healthy. All your pieces are coming back. Alan Lazard, who should connect with Rodgers on a lot of plays. Randall Cobb, people are saying he'll see the field more than people are thinking. I think he gets 10 snaps and maybe a wink, and that's all we're going to see of him. I really don't think he's going to have a major impact. I don't love the tight ends. Should have gotten Meyer or Kincaid. That is what it is. Now you have Tyler Conklin as your tight end 1. So be it. But this Jets team should be at least a 10-win team. This is their schedule for this season. They open with the Bills.
They'll lose that game.
First of all, the first 6 games are brutal. The Patriots, I think, could be interesting depending on how Mac Jones and that offense looks. But the defense should cause Rodgers some problems at least. The Bills are a loss. The Cowboys are a loss. The Patriots could be a loss, but probably not. The Chiefs, the Broncos with Sean Payton, people are saying they're going to be the next great team. And then the Philadelphia Eagles, who just came out of the Super Bowl. So the first 6 games are absolutely brutal. There is a chance you go 2-4.
That's what I was thinking.
And then we're thinking about what happens next. Are they going to pull this back? And now once again, the back 5-6 games of the season, that's where you make up most of your wins. The Falcons, Texans, Dolphins, Commanders, Browns, and Patriots. Those are where your wins are going to be. Your major wins. The Giants, we'll have to wait and see how Danny Dimes looks next season.
How about the Raiders?
The Raiders with Jimmy G, I don't think they're going to be that great. Their defense wasn't. It was horrible. I'm not going to say that it wasn't that bad. It was terrible last season. It's been terrible for the past 10 years. The Dolphins, if Tua stays healthy, I think that could be an interesting matchup. Week 12 and Week 15. The Texans, CJ Stroud, I think they're a 7-win team, but I do not think they're going to go up against the Jets and pull that out. The Falcons, I've been told they're going to be like the next NFC South great team. I don't see it. Bijan Robinson, they're already putting in the top 5 of running backs. He hasn't even played a single NFL snap. I don't know how you could do that. The Commanders, they just signed over their ownership. Good job. Magic Johnson's a minority owner. They could change their name next season. Just a little tidbit there. I found that pretty interesting. The Commanders may be a new team. The Browns, will Deshaun Watson look great? I don't think so personally. And then the Patriots, we'll have to wait and see. That could be, if the Patriots win, they're in the playoffs. That could be that game. But the first 6 weeks, it's absolutely brutal. You're looking at 1-5 to 2-4. That's it. I can't see them going 5. If they go 500, that's a major win. If they go, they're probably going to go 2-4 or 1-5.
Oh, how do they get 10 wins then?
The last from week 13.
No, but who are they? What are you say 2-4 in the first 6 games? Which 2 teams are they going to beat?
Patriots. Broncos and Patriots are the most likely.
I think so. That's 2 wins. Okay,
2 wins.
And then they're going to beat the Giants. That's 3.
Raiders
4.
Okay, so then it's Falcons, Texans, Commanders, Browns.
Falcons, Texans,
Commanders,
and Browns.
Browns,
That's 8
and then
wins.
The Patriots. 9 wins.
Yeah.
And then you may add
9 wins may not get them into the playoffs.
You may have to add a Chargers or a Dolphins game in there. That's 10, 11
should
wins.
beat the Dolphins at least once, I would think.
So then that's 10 wins right there. You beat the Dolphins once. So that's probably what their schedule is going to look like. I have them going 12-5. I think I have them sweeping the Dolphins because I don't think Tua actually is going to be healthy throughout the entire season. So I really think realistically we're looking at a 10-11 win Jet team. And you know what? That's the thing is though, that might not be enough to win the AFC East. I think in most divisions, 11 wins would win you your division. But because you have the Dolphins who could be really good, now with Vic Fangio as DC for them, their defense could look much better. And they got Jalen Ramsey as well. They picked him up in the offseason. And the Bills, who I think their Super Bowl window is shut, at least in the Josh Allen era of the Buffalo Bills, they're still going to probably win 12, 13 games. And then that is what it is. The Bills have taken over the AFC East. The Patriots, I have them probably winning 7, 8 games. That's the most that they could probably win. Realistically, you're probably going 7-10. Belichick gets fired. Mac Jones gets benched or traded. That's my guess. But I talked about that.
That's a pretty wild prediction,
I talked about that when the schedule came out.
They're all over the place here.
Well, I'm just saying, the AFC East right now is the toughest division in football, and the Patriots are terrible. The Jets are going in with a 40-year-old quarterback in Hard Knocks. The pressure is all on them, and the head coach is saying, we don't really feel any pressure. It is what it is. No, there is a lot of pressure because you're still coaching for a job because you may get fired this year or next season, depending. You have a 40-year-old quarterback who's dealing with injuries and does not want to run anymore. He wants to be strictly a pocket passer. He'll run if he desperately has to, but he wants to stay in the pocket, does not want to run. Your main tackle, Mekhi Becton, he's played one game out of the past 34 potential games he could have played. A single one. He's missed 33 games. So that's bad. You have a 38-year-old other tackle, Dwayne Brown. He's old. We don't know how great he's going to be. So you don't have a great tight end. Tyler Conklin's your one. You had an opportunity to draft some of the best tight ends, at least rookie tight ends, Kincaid or Meyer. And we're looking at a situation where now your offensive line is poor. It's worse than the Packers. Aaron Rodgers, now he's aging and wants to be a pocket passer, needs a better offensive line, and it's worse than the team he just came from. So we have to wait and see just how that works out. But there is positives. Rodgers is starting to work with his younger receivers, which he didn't do previously with the Packers. You're getting Breece Hall back, who it looked like early in the year is between Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall for Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's going to be back healthy. Like I said, Garrett Wilson just won Offensive Rookie of the Year. You got Alan Lazard. You got Mecole Hardman. You have a lot of pieces now for the Jets. They have weapons. They have utility. They have assets. Can they coach up a good scheme now? Nathaniel Hackett's the OC. We just saw what an atrocity he was as a head coach. Can he come back and reprise that pretty good OC role with Aaron Rodgers, who he coached before? We'll have to wait and see. I think the Jets are honestly a 10-11 win team. I think Robert Saleh retains his job, but to say that there's no pressure when the spotlight is on you, you are the most interesting team in the NFL next season, I think that's more so just playing it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
But there should be, and
I
think
mean,
there
a
is a lot of
smarter
pressure.
answer would be that everybody's under pressure
Exactly.
in the NFL.
That
right?
would be a better
Everyone
answer.
is under pressure.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't feel any more pressure than anybody else feels, but everybody's under pressure in the NFL. It's win or you're done.
Right.
You know?
Every game matters in a large part. You play 17 weeks of NFL.
Your decisions all matter too.
Right.
You know? So
one bad play could cost you a playoff series. It could cost you an opportunity to get into the playoffs. Every game matters. So the Jets start off 2-4, 1-5. We'll have to see if Aaron Rodgers can bounce back from that. Okay, it's time to get into this interesting topic of testing my dad in his Boston sports history knowledge.
Oh boy.
Now, how long have you been a New England Boston sports fan? Several years, right?
All my life.
All your life, you've been a Boston sports fan. You've seen the peak, when Magic and Larry Bird took over the NBA, in large part may have saved the NBA. And now you also saw the Red Sox, their domination throughout the 2000s at least.
I also spent a lot of years where they were terrible.
You did.
You know? I mean, they didn't win anything since 1918. I'm not quite that old, but 1954 I was born, so I started following them when I was 8 or 9 years old, and so it was a long stretch to get to that first World Series win in 2004, and to see them get beat by the Yankees in 2003 the way they did. And I was at that game, by the way, in Game 7. It was very demoralizing. Yeah, the Boone walk-off. Yeah, that was tough. Very tough. But I am a Boston sports fan. I actually was a New York Giants sports fan really when I was really young because the Patriots didn't exist in 1960 before they were formed. And I'm glad I didn't put that question. I was still a Giants fan because they were before the merger, right? Right. Before the merger, they had the AFL and the NFL. So I've always been a Celtics fan. I've always been a Red Sox fan. I've been a Patriots fan for many, 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 many years, and so I'm happy to try to answer your questions, which I'm sure you've got some that are impossible to answer.
Not impossible.
You're gonna
I
make it very hard on me. Yeah.
No. I'll never make it nearly impossible. But let's get into our first question of today's game show, I guess you can call it. Let's get the music started up. So let's do it. So question number 1, who was the last Red Sox player to hit a home run in the old Yankee Stadium back in 2008? A, David Ortiz, B, Kevin Youkilis, C, Jason Varitek, or D, Dustin Pedroia?
Oh, that's a hard one.
I could.
You know what? David Ortiz would be the logical answer, but it's probably not the logical answer. I don't think it's Kevin Youkilis because I think the stadium was around there for a while before after he kind of fell off and wasn't playing that much. I bet it's Pedroia.
You are. Let's see if I can get this properly timed. You're correct.
Yes.
Dustin Pedroia. On August 27, 2008, Dustin Pedroia hit a grand slam to left field against David Robertson to put the Red Sox up 11-2 in that game. The last home run, though, was hit by, I believe it was Yadier Molina back in September, was the last home run at the old Yankee Stadium. Let's get into question number 2. Who was the only Red Sox pitcher to ever win a Gold Glove? A, Roger Clemens. B, Mike Boddicker, C, Derek Lowe, or D, Dennis Eckersley?
I bet it's not Roger Clemens.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could give you sort of a hint.
Mike Boddicker, I don't know. Did he even play for the Red Sox?
He did play for the Red Sox.
Not many years, though. I thought he was an Orioles pitcher.
He was?
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah. I bet it is Derek Lowe.
Derek Lowe, you are. Let's see if I can get this time correctly. Incorrect. It is Mike Boddicker. The Gold Glove was back in 1957 when it first got introduced. He actually won it in 1990 and is the only Red Sox pitcher to ever receive the award. All right, let's get to question number 3. There's 9 of these, by the way. 3 Red Sox, 3 Patriots, 3 Celtics. All right, which of the following is not a nickname for Ted Williams?
The Splendid Splinter is.
One of the best hitters in baseball history.
The kid is. Teddy Ball Game. I never heard of that one. It's between those two, the Thumper and Teddy Ball Game.
Okay.
I would say it's probably the Thumper.
Okay, I'm going to say no. That's wrong because actually they all are nicknames. There's a trick question.
Oh,
every single one of these was a nickname for Ted Williams.
That's mean.
The Kid, the Splendid Splinter, the Thumper, and Teddy Ballgame. All nicknames for the great Ted Williams. All right, let's move into basketball with the Boston Celtics. So question number 4. Who is the Boston Celtics all-time points leader?
John Havlicek.
Wow, that was quick. You got that correct. John Havlicek is the highest scorer in Celtics history with 26,395 points. Very, very impressive. All right, let's get into question number 7. Question number 7, or is this is number 6? Sorry, or is no? This is number 5. What am I saying? What Celtic is one of only 5 players in NBA history to lead his team in all the 5 major statistical categories: points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks for a season? A, Kevin McHale, B, Bill Russell, C, Dave Cowens, or D, Larry Bird?
Dave Cowens, not Cowens.
Sorry, Cowens.
Yeah.
This is before my time.
What are the 5 statistics again?
Points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks.
I think it's Bill Russell.
Bill Russell, you are incorrect. It was actually Dave Cowens.
Dave Cowens.
1977 to 78. Led the Celtics in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks.
Assists are not much.
Yeah, well, if
They
it's
didn't have a point.
77
They had
to
a point guard.
78.
Look at those blocks. That's terrible. 0.9.
Hey, it was enough to put him at the number 1 spot for the Celtics. All right, let's go to question numbers. I believe I'm on question 6 now. This is the last Celtics question. How many NBA championships did the Celtics win during the 20th century? A, 16, B, 10, C, 14, or D, 13? This is like the Bill Russell and Larry Bird
I think it's
era.
14.
You think it's 14? The answer is, I want to make sure I have this right. I believe that is incorrect. The
13,
answer
then.
is 16.
16.
16 during the 20th century, including 8 straight finals appearances, which is the longest streak in professional sports history.
Yeah.
Big man Bill Russell. What do you want, 11 championships, something crazy like that? All right, let's get into the last section. We're talking about football. Who was the first player to ever sign a contract with the Patriots? Back in, I'll give you a hint, 1959. Before they got in, it was 1959 he signed this contract. They became a team in 1960.
It wasn't Randy White. I know that. It wasn't. I don't know who Harvey White is. I never heard of Jim Hunt, maybe. How about Babe Pirelli?
You're choosing A, Bill Pirelli? Babe, yeah. That's what I said, yeah. No. Incorrect.
Jim Hunt, then.
It was Harvey White.
Harvey White.
Clemson quarterback Harvey White.
Nobody knows
was the first player. Hey, I have a little bit here. He played 3 games with the Patriots, 44 yards, no touchdowns. A lot to be desired for the first ever, at the time, Boston Patriot. All right, let's get into question number 7.
Nobody would know that.
Hey, it's a bit of knowledge. Someone out there just learned something new. Which player is the Patriots' career leader in receiving yards? A. Wes Welker, B. Rob Gronkowski, C. Julian Edelman, or D. Stanley Morgan?
In receiving yards.
In receiving yards. Wes Welker, Gronk, Edelman, or Stanley Morgan?
I'm saying Stanley Morgan.
You are correct. Stanley
Yeah.
Morgan did have the most receiving yards.
He was great.
Yeah, he leads all Patriots receivers in career yards with 10,352. Can you tell me what the next highest one is? I'll go back to it.
The next highest one?
The next 2 highest are on this list.
Oh, yeah? It's probably Wes Welker.
He's number 3.
And maybe it's Gronk.
Gronk's number 2.
Yeah.
The difference between Stanley Morgan and the next highest, Stanley Morgan 10,352, Gronk is 7,861. And then Wes Welker 7,459.
Yeah.
So there's almost a full 3,000.
Stanley
Yard
Morgan
gap.
is great.
I mean, clearly 10,000 yards for the Patriots.
Yeah. He made some catches, unbelievable.
And we're talking about receivers that played with Tom Brady, and they didn't even get these big numbers. So let's get into our last question of today's game show of testing my dad's knowledge of sports history. Who did the Patriots play in their first ever Super Bowl? Not Super Bowl win, first ever appearance in the Super Bowl. A, the Green Bay Packers, B, the Minnesota Vikings, C, the Chicago Bears, or D, the New York Football Giants.
Green Bay Packers.
That is incorrect. It was the Chicago Bears, and it was both their first appearances in the Super Bowl. And it was Super Bowl 20, where Mike Ditka and the Chicago Bears whooped up on the Patriots 46-10 on January 6th, 1986.
I should have known that.
Nearly
I blew that one.
40 years ago. So that is testing my dad's sports knowledge on Boston.
How many did I
history.
get right? Not that many.
I should have kept. You got the first one right. It was just Dustin Pedroia. You got the second one wrong. You got Havlicek.
Yeah.
You got
Stanley Morgan.
You got Stanley Morgan, and that's it.
I got 3. I got 1 in each.
You got
1 in each.
One in each category. 33%. There you go. That wraps up this little segment of the Harvey Hour. Testing my dad's sports knowledge. You got 33%.
Okay, so before we have a few minutes left.
We got about 8 minutes left.
Yeah. So we're now into the stretch run for baseball, right? After the All-Star break. I'm disappointed in the Red Sox so far. They came out. They could have won 6 games in a row on the road. They wound up 3-3, and they lost 2 in a row to Oakland. Makes you question whether they really have a chance. And I think they got to go get help if they think they're going to compete for at least a wild card. They're fighting the Yankees now for last place. So, it used to be the Yankees and Red Sox fought each other for first place. Now they're fighting each other for last place. So I think the Yankees' problem is they don't have Aaron Judge. And I can't believe the guy is out so long with a toe injury. How could that be? I just don't know what kind of toe injury would keep somebody out this long. He's been out for months now, right?
That's what it seems like, at least.
Yeah. So, who do you like, Nate, in the playoffs now for baseball? It's a little bit of a strange season with the teams that are in first place now. Right. I mean, right now Baltimore is tied with Tampa Bay for first place.
Yep.
Tampa Bay has fallen off a cliff. They've been playing terrible. Baltimore is tied for first place.
I think if I read it correctly, they are 30-31 in their last 61 games. The Rays are. They have fallen off a cliff.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay is 4.5 games above the wild card. The Blue Jays and the Astros have both secured the wild card, the other 2 wild card spots. The Red Sox in the next highest, 3 games out. Yankees are 4 games out. The Angels are 5 games out.
Yeah.
They're 2 games away from the wild card. I do not see them. And by the way, the Angels just beat up on the Yankees, which is huge for them. Because if they can make the playoffs, I think they can keep Ohtani for a year or 2 more. We'll have to wait and see, though. The Red Sox, I will talk about the Red Sox. They had a beautiful opportunity to get a wild card spot. Every single team in the AL East was losing games. Crucial games. And the Red Sox lost a bunch, and especially to Oakland. The worst team in the MLB. But it is close. It is close. They're only 1.5 games back from, or in front of the Royals for the worst team in baseball. The Royals are also terrible. So, of course, I would hope the Red Sox make it because I would like to see Devers and I want to see Massa in the playoffs. I want to see Duvall,
Verdugo,
bring back Trevor Story. I want to see them in the playoffs. But the realistic outlook of this is
where is he? I mean, he's got to get back here pretty soon. He's been out forever.
maybe. But I will say this. I honestly think the Angels have a higher chance to get into the playoffs than the Red Sox do.
Mike Trout's been hurt.
Mike Trout has been dealing with an injury. I'm going to bring this up because I think I could see the playoff chances here. Here we go. So, the playoff odds, according to Baseball Reference, which is, a website that I very much love. So, the chances, the outlook of way the season will end. To make it to the postseason, we're looking at teams like the Blue Jays right now in the AL East are a 67% chance to make the playoffs. The Red Sox are at a 31% chance. The Angels are at a 6.8% chance. So me saying the Angels probably have a higher chance to make the playoffs is actually very much absurd. The Yankees are at a 19% chance. That should give you a little bit of hope that the Red Sox are going to be the worst team in the AL East. I am shocked, stunned that the Orioles are so good.
Yeah.
Because the Orioles, in my mind, have always been just sort of the laughing stock of the AL East. Sort of the throwaway team. Yep, nope, they're terrible. They'll always be terrible. Although that is just not the case, though. They have been good recently.
They've been good all year. I mean, they haven't really fallen off. They haven't had a major losing streak all year.
But we saw sort of a little spark towards the middle to end of last season where the Orioles won a bunch of games.
They were in contention there for quite a while.
If I'm not mistaken, they weren't the last team in the AL East either. I could be. I'll look that up right now, but I do not think they were number 5. They were 4 out of 5. I was right. Yeah. So they were. I think the Red Sox were actually the worst team. They went below Baltimore. So my guess would be the Red Sox are probably going to be either bottom or close to the bottom of the AL East because of pitching and inconsistencies. I mean, didn't they get shut out or nearly shut out in their last game against
do you think
A's?
they'll be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline?
We talked about this before. I honestly think.
I mean, today is the 21st. There's only 9 days to the trade deadline.
Yeah.
10 days. 10 days.
Was it August 1st is the trade
Is it
deadline?
August 1st? So that was July 31st.
I think it's August 1st, the trade deadline.
All right, 10 or 11 days.
I will say this though. A couple days ago, I don't know if it's the same thing here. The Red Sox did have the best record in July, I should say. So they came out in July swinging it like no one else.
They didn't lose 2 in a row in July until this past weekend.
Right, and then I think Brian Bello, if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, he has been pretty good this season. And then the last game against Oakland,
lousy. Home
run. They could hit every single ball seemed like a home run. So my guess would be Angels get in, Yankees get no. I think the Blue Jays. I think this could be a bloodbath between the bottom 3 teams of the AL: Blue Jays, Yankees, and Red Sox. I think those guys. It's going to be an absolute bloodbath. And I think right now with Judge out, I think the Red Sox should be the best team out of those 3 because they have some heavy bats right there. It's just the pitching that is their main problem. It's the same thing with the Mets. The Mets have hit the ball pretty decently, but it's
they're done. I don't think they're going to make it now.
They are currently 7 games out.
7 games out of a wild card.
7 games out of the wild card.
That's a long way.
Their division, I'll bring that up right now, they are 17 and a half games out of the wild card. Yeah. Below teams like the Marlins and the Phillies.
Well, it's Mets, Red Sox tonight.
It is.
And what's the score?
Nothing, bottom of the first, man on third for the Red Sox. No outs.
Go Red Sox.
So I will say this. We made a little, prediction at the very, very beginning of the MLB season. I don't think it was opening day, but I think it was like the next day would have been opening day when we did the show. And we made our predictions of who's going to win each division. I believe we had the Cardinals winning the division for the NL Central. We couldn't have been more wrong. They are right now second to last, 10.5 games out of that first place spot. Another team that has been a complete disappointment, which I think, maybe you're happy about because some players are on this team, is the San Diego Padres.
Yeah.
They have been terrible with with Tatis, with Bogarts, with Soto. I mean, Blake Snell is pitching okay. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken,
Manny Machado
as well. If I'm not mistaken, I think
they got a ton of all-stars.
I think a Red Sox pitcher also pitches there. If I'm not mistaken,
I don't know. Michael Walker, did he go there?
I was about to look that up.
Then he went Walker. Did he go
yes.
to? Yeah, he's there.
Yeah,
he's pitching well too, right?
2.84 ERA. He's 8-2.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's not pitching that poorly. They're 10 games out from their spot. We had them winning their division as well.
10 games out of the wild card?
10 games out of their own division.
Oh, okay. How about the wild card?
The wild card, let's see, they are 6.5. Mets are 7.
Okay. Well, they still may have it.
They have a chance, but it's not looking
Gasp.
too good. Like the problem is though, I don't know. I'll look at this right now. The problem is the AL East is so good. The Red Sox seem very, very bad. At this current moment, the Red Sox would be number 1 in the NL Central.
Yeah, all those teams are terrible.
Well, it's really the only AL Central. And
I think Cleveland will win that division.
Well, so far I'm swinging and I'm hitting for the fences because I picked the Twins to win that. They had injury problems. They're all coming back healthy. They're first in the division.
Yeah, but not by much.
Not by much.
What's Cleveland?
2 games.
2 games back. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I remember when we used to did it when we made our predictions. I was thinking about putting Texas in there, but then we both picked the Astros. Astros are 4 games out of the top spot.
That's why it's a surprising season. I mean, Texas is in first place. Arizona Diamondbacks are in first place.
That blows my mind.
Minnesota is in first place. These are teams you wouldn't expect.
Right.
Right.
So
Atlanta is blowing away the National League East.
Right.
Yeah.
By the way, Red Sox up 1-0.
All right.
1-0. And also, I want to talk about this. This isn't a topic for the show, but I just thought we might as well talk about it. So I saw this recently. I'll bring it up right now. So this could have been a topic for Monday, but I just thought, why not? Let's just throw it in for a quick little reaction. We may still do it Monday. So there's a report out saying the Blazers are not sold on trading Damian Lillard and hopes he changes his mind. So do you think that they should just trade him for whatever because he wants to go to the Heat? We've talked about this before. The only destination him and his agent are talking about is the Heat. Do you think they should give in, or do you think, you know what? Let's try to retain him. So what if he's mad? He'll have to play eventually, or else he's missing out on some money.
I think a player like that, he's a marquee player. If he's unhappy, he's going to make noise about it. It's not good for your franchise. I'd say you try to find a trading partner and get a deal done that will make the Blazers have a fresh start and make Lillard happy at another spot, which is probably the Heat.
Well, my take that if we do this Monday will probably be is why you're an organization. Why make a player happy if you're going to get a worse deal? If the Clippers are out here giving you, to the nth degree,
because he could upset the locker room. He could diss the coaching staff.
That's not the Blazers' problem.
It could be a big distraction. Could be a distract. That's a Blazers problem, right? That's the organization's problem. If he's out there, he's a discontented player and he's making a lot of noise about it.
Well, no. Okay, let's say the Blazers trade him to the Clippers, for instance, and he wants to go to the Heat. He's set on the Heat. It's the Clippers' problem now.
Oh, that I guess. Yeah, I guess you're right on that.
It ain't the Blazers' problem.
Yeah.
So,
but you know what? He's been with them for many years,
right?
And I think they owe him a shot at trading him to a team he wants to go to. Yeah, I mean, the fact that he only picked one team that he wants to go to, that's a little selfish on his part, I think. Why wouldn't he pick the Clippers? The Clippers are a team that could do something.
I think there are a couple teams out there that could be interesting.
Celtics. He's not interested in going to the Celtics.
That's one of the teams he said he does not. He adamantly said he does not want to go to the Celtics.
I don't understand that. No.
He
just wants to beat them, I guess. If he went to the Heat, he wants to go to the Heat so he can beat the Celtics. So.
Maybe, or just because they've been on this huge Cinderella run and made it to the NBA Finals. They got beat up to shreds in the finals, but you know what? It is what it is. I do think that'll wrap up this episode of the Harvey Hour. Thank you for everyone who stuck around. Once again, if you want to become a part of this channel, hit that blue join button. If you want, you can become a guest on the show. And if you get to the Legend Supporter, you get to become a regular member on the show. You get shout-outs. You get perks. You can see them all there if you hit the join button to become a member. So thank you for
We'd love to have some company.
We would love someone to come join the show and tell us how wrong we are on most of our takes. You already guys do that in the comments, but it'll be great content. It'll be great to talk to some of you guys out there. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We are the co-hosts of the Harvey Hour. We will see you Monday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Good night, Grandpa.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify.
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe,
interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
Podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.